Looks like we're live. Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to talk about Microsoft Flight Simulator, or as I like to call it, Microsoft, or as it's technically called, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Now, if you don't know about Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, then I'm going to let the trailer speak for itself. Let's go ahead and play that here real quick. And just before I start it, let me just specify something. Microsoft Flight Simulator will simulate, I'm quoting here, the entire Earth using textures and topographical data from Bing Maps. In Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, you can fly anywhere on the alleged sphere Earth. Okay, let's play the trailer. This trailer is breathtaking. It's breathtaking. Breathtaking. The graphics are mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Okay. Just, it's incredible. It's amazing. Okay, mind-blowing, right? Amazing graphics, and you can fly anywhere on the alleged globe Earth in this game. This is like the big deal. Now, if we go look at the trailer from a few months ago, they had another trailer from a few months ago. Right at the very beginning of the trailer, this is what it says. Powered by satellite data. And it turns out that Microsoft Flight Simulator, the world that they built, this alleged sphere, yes indeed, I agree, Julie Bennett, the music is very good. Very exhilarating music here. The world that they've created, this giant sphere Earth, allegedly, we're gonna deep dive now into that now, is based on satellite data. Now, they're taking their data from Bing Maps. In fact, if you go to the Wikipedia page, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, it will simulate, quote, the entire Earth using textures and topographical data from Bing Maps. So you're actually playing Google Earth. Obviously, it's not Google Earth, it's Bing Maps. But that's analogous here. It's like you load up Google Earth, but you throw a plane in there and you can just fly around the alleged sphere, that model that they have. So here's what's interesting. A lot of video games, as far as my understanding goes, are made on flat maps. There's just no need to make it spherical. There's no need to make the video game a sphere, because you're never really high enough where you should start seeing curvature. And for that matter, take Skyrim, for example. Who's to say the world of Skyrim even takes place on a sphere? Did Lord of the Rings take place on a sphere, Earth in space? All these fantasy worlds. I mean, you see what I'm saying? And of course, that's one of the big crises of the globe model, is that as spherical as it looks from a macro perspective, when you're on top of it, when you're experiencing it, when you're living it, it looks flat. Even on a plane. And we're going to let Neil deGrasse Tyson tell us how high you have to be to see Earth curvature.
And that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, what's his name? Felix Baumgartner. He would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump. Now, I don't. It's fine. He wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he's like, "Wow, he's in space. Look at that." No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat.
Yeah, tell me about it, Neil. Tell me about how flat the Earth is supposed to look at 120,000 feet. Higher than any plane that in Microsoft Flight Simulator will fly, as far as, unless you're allowed to go as high as you want in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but that wouldn't be a very accurate flight simulator, because at a certain height, that atmosphere gets a little too thin to fly a plane, I'm going to assume. So, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, this incredible looking game, is coming out, and you can allegedly fly across the entire alleged sphere Earth model. Now, I'm going to look through this trailer here for any signs of curvature, and there aren't too many. Like this isn't, there's haze. It looks pretty flat to me. I'm going to see if there's any curvature. There's a few scenes where you can see curvature, but it looks like it's like satelloon level height. Places a plane never flies. Certainly not low enough, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson. That looks like there could be some curvature, but also the plane's kind of slanted, so that could be an optical effect, because as we all know, curvature is very elusive, and most of the time it's just lens distortions. That's looking pretty flat. Now here's one scene in the game that blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind, and that is when you can see the sun rising in the distance. Now watch this. I'm just going to play the music because it's great. Julie Bennett's absolutely right. The music is really good. Okay. Okay, right? There's the sun. Let's watch the sun again. Right? Wow, mind-blowing, right? Okay. Here's my question. This is a very accurate model that they've created for this video game, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. And the model, it's so accurate that you can even use visual flight rules to get to your destination. It's called VFR. It's like a pilot term, visual flight rules. And let's pull that interview up where the guys. By the way, guys, if you want to talk about like shockingly high IQ research, I had like 30 plus tabs open last night, just like high RPM, just like boom. We're going hard here, and this is something that sort of like the low IQ. Oh, that's right. I forgot to bring it up here. We have a new name for globe trolls. They like to call us flurfs, and so now we call them globs. And The first four letters in the word globe is glob. According to one dictionary definition, glob means, quote, a somewhat rounded mass or lump, as jelly or grease. Like jelly and grease, globs are soft and slimy. The glob model is malformed and deflated, like gas pressure escaping into the vacuum. So, friends, this is the face of the glob model. I mean, come on, if you've ever been at the receiving end of one of these creepy globber trolls attacking you, making death threats sometimes. I mean, globers, like, they'll threaten to kill you, punch you in the face. I've heard it. I have it. So they're just these deflated little creepy globs. These just troll globs. And they just appear and they're like, how dare you question science? How dare you think, and then they just attack you. So they call us flurfs. Well, we call them globs because they're just like these partially little deflated little things that just sit there and they're angry that their model's imploding. So never forget that's a PSA. So let's see here. So sunrise. Now let's go find the visual flight rules. Visual flight rules. Where is that? Everything's looking good here. Good. Here we go. So this is from the Microsoft Flight Simulator official YouTube channel. And they have like this insider series on the making of the game. And in the first episode of the making of the game, they're talking about the world and how they built it. So let's listen. Notice the curvature. Now, to be fair, how many times have you seen some high altitude footage with apparent curvature that was just a fisheye lens? This could easily be some type of programmable lens distortion as opposed to actual earth curving in the video game. So let's keep watching. Now some people might be like, hey, what's the point of this? Who cares what a video game... Putting aside the whole simulation theory that Elon Musk said, there's like a really high chance we live in simulations, and most video game simulations are flat maps. Sorry. And the universe is allegedly flat, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Forgot what I was going to say. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you can have fisheye lenses create these sort of apparent optical distortions that aren't real world. So let's watch.
Hi everyone, I'm Lionel Fuentes, lead engine programmer here at Asobo Studio. We are developing the next generation of Microsoft Flight Simulator. As you can see behind me, people are hard at work testing the current work in progress version that we have. So when we started working on Microsoft Flight Simulator, that was at the same time scary and super exciting because there are
again, more alleged curvature. Again, a simple lens distortion effect, as we see with GoPro cameras or any type of cameras that have those effects, could cause this curvature. Doesn't prove that this model is programmed on a flat or spherical map. Let's keep watching.
So many things to do. I will talk about one of the biggest things that we had to do, and this is a key feature for flight simulators, that is the world. I will speak about the world through 4.
So before I go any further, I remember what I was going to say. With these flight simulators, whether or not the map is flat, it really depends. I think it comes down to like a coordinate system. And one of these guys is going to talk about that, and it's kind of annoying because I think he's about to say something critical about how the game is developed, but he doesn't quite get there. So I'll let him go on.
Main points. I will speak about the data sources, the augmentations from those data sources that we could compute on Azure, more on this later. A little bit about the impact on bandwidth, and then some procedural generation techniques that we developed. So the world, our planet, is really beautiful.
He said the word. He said the P word. He said the word planet. Let's go back.
A little bit about the impact on bandwidth, and then some procedural generation techniques that we developed. So the world, our planet, is really beautiful. It is full of natural wonders, from Ayers Rock to the Himalayan mountains, to also man-made features like the Statue of Liberty, Mont Saint-Michel, the Tour Eiffel. So we wanted to get all of those features in the simulator for you to enjoy. So when we started doing this, we realized how much the world is big. The world is...
How much of the world is big? Oh, it's big.
Really big. And to the point that we even had to change the internal way we represent a 3D point in space in our engine, like from single precision floating point to double precision floating point, because we couldn't handle that big of a world. And the biggest impact of this was on the amount of data, because you need a lot.
So again, the reason why this is relevant, okay, this has nothing to do with simulation theory, which Elon Musk says there's like a really high likelihood we live in a simulation. This has nothing to do with that. What's up, Nathan Thompson in the chat? It has nothing to do with that. The reason I think that this is relevant is because, like so many video games which are programmed on a flat map, this is supposed to simulate the entire globe using real-world satellite data and globe model, and it's so accurate that they say you can use this flight simulator with VFR, visual flight rules. That's how accurate this model, this simulator is. He's going to talk about VFR in a moment. So the point is this: if the game, like so many games, is just programmed on a flat map, like so many games, just a flat map, yet this very accurate, so accurate you can use VFR, visual flight rules, to navigate the model in the game, then, I mean, just think about how ridiculous of a coincidence that would be if you can make an entire model of the sphere where you can fly anywhere on it down to the visual accuracy, yet at the very same time, it's a flat map that's somehow matching an apparent globe model. See, that would just be ridiculous levels of coincidental, just ridiculous bullshit. And you'd have to be a retard to believe that. So, again, it goes down to this conundrum, this global conundrum. And that is that the globe looks and feels flat to a certain scale. And that's the weird thing about this stupid ass model, is that even though they claim it's a sphere, operationally and functionally, as you dwell atop of this sphere, it behaves like a flat Earth. It really does. It really does behave like a flat Earth. And you may not like the science, you may not like the scientific facts. And you might be a science denier. You might be a science denier. But if you want to deny science, then I just don't understand why you would be against science. So let's keep watching.
Of data to represent the world. Luckily enough, Bing Maps was here with 2 petabytes of aerial imagery, elevation data, 3D scans for a setting, to get all the airports in the world, all the mountains. Do you sequence for this? Those of you that
okay, here we go.
But it also matches the real world. And the big consequence for this is that now VFR flying is available for you everywhere. So for those of you that don't know what VFR means, it means visual flight rules, and it's a way of flying your aircraft by relying on visual cues in the environment, like where you see a given city or a given river. So for example, when in real life we do some piloting, and when in the DR400 we can see the Garonne River here and the city of Martillac there, we can deduce where we're going. The amazing thing is that now we can recreate this very experience right inside the simulator. So I encourage you.
Okay. So pretty interesting stuff. Now we have another interview here. So first, let me cut back to something here. They're using satellite imagery, right? This is how they've created this globe model, alleged globe model in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. They're using satellite images. They're using Bing Maps. Bing Maps. So I couldn't find too much information on how Bing Maps is constructed and all their satellite images, how it's all put together to create a sphere. But I was able to find some information on how Google Earth takes satellite images and turns it into a globe model. So let's watch, right out of one of Google's programmers themselves, how does Google Earth take satellite images and make a giant ball? Let's watch.
So how do we build Google Earth? The way it starts is we look at places that we want to collect in imagery, and then we collect it through a variety of different ways. One is satellites, and satellites give you the global views, and that's all 2D imagery that's wrapped around the globe. When you get closer to the ground, we have 3D data that we collect from planes.
Yes, you heard right, planes. I'd always assumed that every overhead photo of the Earth I'd ever seen was taken by a satellite. But I learned creating 3D imagery requires special conditions, so Google flies planes, or as I now like to think of them, street view cars with wings.
Okay, so let's go back, because it's very double-speakish. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't really freaking give moderator controls, but I guess if you ask, I'll give you a moderator. I'm not into the whole wrenching out, but there's your wrench. Dearth. Deep inside the rabbit hole up in the chat. Okay, so let's listen to this double speak again. It's funny, there's only two people I think I've given a wrench out to. It's Nathan Oakley and Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Yeah, whatever. You're a mod. Whatever you want. It don't matter. It's all good. All right. So here we go.
So how do we build Google Earth?
By the way, everybody check out the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, Clock app. I think I might be missing a word from there. Just check it out. It's an app you can get on your phone. Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole helped create it, or maybe he created the whole thing. I don't know. Check it out, guys. It's a really interesting one. Check it out. Let's keep watching.
The way it starts is we look at places that we want to collect in imagery, and then we collect it through a variety of different ways. One is satellites.
So first of all, notice what's funny is that the moment they cut to the satellites, it's all CGI, like fake little stupid visual.
Imagery. And then we collect it through a variety of different ways. One is satellites, and satellites give you the global views. And
now, interestingly enough, they start showing this, they cut from the CGI satellite, they cut to what I think is actually Google Earth itself, and it's immediately zooming down in to the surface of the Earth. And it happens so fast, it's hard to even tell that there was a sphere, because but let's see. I don't even think they show the sphere for a second when it cuts from the satellite to this zooming in. I think for half a frame or something, it shows the very edges of the sphere in Google Earth, the software.
Variety of different ways. One is satellites, and satellites give you the global views, and that.
Dude, I think they had it for like half a freaking second. The reason I'm interested in that is because I wanted to know if these satellite images, are they just a top-down aerial view of a bunch of land and you can't see any curved edges of the Earth or space? Because I'm pretty sure that a lot of the satellite images that are used for these models are just really high altitude, top-down photographs that aren't high enough to see the whole alleged Earth. Let's keep watching.
2D imagery that's races
Okay, so now let's focus on what he's saying. Listen again to the doublespeak.
that we want to collect in imagery. And then we collect it through a variety of different ways. One is satellites, and satellites give you the global views, and that's all 2D imagery that's wrapped around the globe.
Oh, wait, one more time.
And satellites give you the global views, and that's all 2D imagery that's wrapped around the globe. And satellites give you the global views, and that's all 2D imagery that's wrapped around the globe. And satellites give you the global views, and that's all 2D imagery that's wrapped around the globe.
If the satellite is giving you global images, why do you then have to take those images and wrap them around the globe? He also mentions that these are 2D images. So you're taking a flat image and then you're wrapping it around a 3D sphere? So are these original images from the satellites, are they actual high enough to show any curvature? I know they claim some satellites get the full picture, like the Himawari, which has obviously been completely debunked. It's not even scientific. It's just not real. It's just it's been completely debunked, unfortunately, by the skeptics. We love the skeptics. We love how skeptics are always. We love how the skeptics go out and debunk like the fake globe, anti-science like nonsense. Because we just love how skeptics are just so like skeptical. We love that.
And satellites give you the global views, and that's all 2D imagery that's wrapped around the globe. And satellites give you the global views, and that's all 2D imagery that's wrapped around the globe. And satellites give you the global views, and that's all 2D imagery that's wrapped around the globe. When you get closer to the ground, we have 3D data that we collect from planes.
So the 3D data is collected from planes. So my point here is this: I'm not really buying that the Bing maps. Okay, again, this is the Wikipedia page for Microsoft Simulator 2020. The game will, quote, simulate the entire Earth using textures and topographical data from Bing Maps. Bing Maps, I don't know how Bing Maps works, but according to this guy from Google, Google Earth is taking satellite images of the globe, global satellite images, 2D, flat, and wrapping them around a sphere. So that's what I think is going on. It's just a bunch of 2D snapshots of a flat fucking Earth, and then they give it that, and they start molding it around the sphere. That's what I'm pretty sure is going on. But I haven't done a total deep dive into how Google Earth actually works. Maybe Gleam knows something about that. I heard Gleam in a debate with that Mute the Flat Earth guy, Mute the Flat Earth, and he was talking a lot about coordinates and map projections and all that. So cool. So now let's move on to another interesting tidbit here. Another interesting tidbit. So here we have. And here's the thing, guys. It's really hard to find just a direct statement somewhere on the internet of Microsoft or other video game programmers who have done flight simulators just straight up admitting it. Oh yeah, it's a flat map. Yeah. Like for example, the original Microsoft Flight Simulator from I think it was the mid to late 80s or something, might have been a little bit later than that. It's just like a wire frame, and it's super rudimentary and very simplistic. No way that was done on a sphere. I'm pretty sure it was done on a flat Earth, on a flat map. Obviously, the game has evolved and progressed over time. So let's get some more insights from the developers of the game itself. Where are we at here? Now this is interesting. Listen to this. This is very interesting. Yeah, no problem, Paul Revere. No problem, Paul Revere. So listen to this. This is interesting.
So either it's photogrammetric
These are actual developers of the game being interviewed.
data,
Yeah.
or the data is not as perfect, and we augment what we have, which is basically at the base level. It's aerial images that we augment on top of it.
But you're not doing that manually. That's happening some.
Oh yeah. No way we can do it.
So this is what I'm saying. So this has never been done before, where it's data taking to the simulator. So what do you call this? Is this procedural? What is the word?
Augmented.
Yeah, we call that augmenting bitmaps. Yeah.
And what is the? You said how many petabytes is it?
2 petabytes of bitmaps data is being streamed, and it's made out of those 3D scans, the aerial imagery, and the elevation data.
Say that one more time because that's crazy. I want to make sure I have that cool.
2 petabytes.
But it's just about the being data, because the output in the sim is actually even technically, I would say, bigger than this, because it's just about the data. Because as we augment being, at the end the final output goes even beyond that.
Yeah, so it's the kind of the magic of procedural is you can make things that if you had them non-procedural would be enormous in size, but because it's procedural, it's actually a program generated stuff on the fly. Like when you ask the sim, hey, go generate this particular zone, then it can generate the stuff that's needed here without needing to store it.
And you said how many miles of visibility?
Okay, this is a critical part. The interviewer asked them, how many miles of visibility do you get when you're flying in the game? Watch and listen.
It's the stuff that's needed here without needing to store it.
And you said how many miles of visibility?
So that was really for the sky that we gave a number of 600 kilometers.
Just for the clouds?
But then really for the Earth?
For the ground itself, I don't know.
For the Earth, actually, it's up to the horizon. If you take a point in space, you have XYZ coordinates. And your plane is at an XYZ coordinate. And in that case, that XYZ coordinate is with 6 million meters. Well, the radius of the Earth. So, and the whole world is in this virtual space, which means that from there, we might as well teleport to some other place and still be in the same coordinate space. So everything is represented. Maybe it's
So I was so frustrated at this part because
a bit too technical,
but it was great. But
yeah, I'm gonna use that and say I have no idea what he said, but it's never done.
I was so frustrated here because I feel like the programmer guy was about to reveal. He kept making all these sphere shapes with his hands as he's talking about the world. I thought he was about to reveal some critical information about how the game is programmed, but then the interviewer apparently couldn't compute. So then they just started laughing about how complicated it was, and he stopped talking. Let's go back. Let's break it all down.
The Earth, 600 kilometers
visibility.
So the interviewer asked, how far is the visibility in this game?
So that was really for the sky that we gave a number of 600 kilometers.
He says, well, for the sky's visibility, we gave a number of 600 kilometers. I don't know what he means by that. I don't know what he means by visibility. What I'm assuming is that because the sky is higher up than the ground is lower, that just because of how angles in vision works, you can see the sky further away than you can see the ground. Simple example. You're standing on the beach, you're right there on the shoreline, you're looking out at the water, and you see the horizon. According to Google, in fact, let me Google that. Google it right now for you. Horizon. All right. So here we have it right out of Google's mouth. How far away is the horizon? 3 miles. For a 6 foot tall person, the horizon is a little more than 3 miles away. Okay. Geometry tells us that the distance of the horizon, the furthest point the eye can see before the Earth curves out beneath our view, depends simply on the height of the observer. So if you're standing on the shoreline and you see that line of the horizon, that's 3 miles away, according to their model. What I'm going to tell you is that if you can see clouds right above that horizon line in the sky, clouds, those clouds are way further away than that water's edge because they're actually higher up, and because there's a broader angle of view to those clouds that are higher up, you can actually see things that are further. It's basic science of optics, of vision and light. It's science. It's Well, I'll just put it to you like this. Like, you could either accept a science and support science. You can stand with science, or you can deny science, like these glob cult members. See, look, for example, okay, this is what a science denier looks like. Take a good look, everybody, because you don't want to associate with science deniers, okay? This is what a science denier looks like. They're angry, they're bitter, they're little deflated globs of just pure troll. They're just so butthurt. You know, the first 4 letters in the word globe is glob. And you know, one dictionary defines the word glob as, quote, a somewhat rounded mass or lump, as jelly or grease. Think about any die-hard globe defender you've ever come across in your life, and tell me they don't just represent a glob. Tell me they don't just look like this. They're just so angry. The earth is a globe. How dare you question it? The earth can't be flat. They're just angry, crazy cultists. And then they're globs. You know, they call us flurfs. Well, we call them globs. And they're just so angry. So that's the simple science. You can choose to accept the science, or you can deny it. And it's really binary. You either support science, or you're a science denier, like everyone who's a diehard globe defender, aka globs, aka globs. Okay. Think about it. Think of every single psycho globe troll who's ever trolled you, and tell me they don't just resemble this right here. A deflated, malformed globe ball, just angry, little glob. And of course, the imagery here is so powerful because the glob model is malformed and deflated, like gas pressure escaping into the vacuum. Too many holes in the glob model. Okay, so when this guy says that let's just go back and play it again.
Fly. Like when you ask the sim, hey, go generate this particular zone, then it can generate the stuff that's needed here without needing to store it.
And you said how many miles of visibility?
So that was really for the sky that we gave a number of 600 kilometers.
Just for the clouds?
But then really for the Earth?
For the ground.
So they say 600 kilometers for the sky, for the clouds, visibility. And now they're going to talk about the ground. But what about the ground itself? And this is what he says. Of course, it's what he says.
Just for the clouds?
But then really for the Earth?
For the ground itself, I don't know.
For the Earth, actually, it's up to the horizon. If you take a point in space, you have... For the Earth, actually, it's up to the horizon.
So wait, the visibility for the Earth, how far the game draws a distance for the visibility of the Earth itself, he says it's to the horizon. Well, of course it's to the horizon. Because on the globe model, the horizon is where you can't see anymore. Duh. Because it's the other side of the curve, allegedly. Even though the entire universe is flat, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson 2012. That's a quote. Of course, as we know, on a flat Earth, you can have a horizon line at 3 miles away for a 6-foot tall observer. Basically, what the globe model is they simply took the science, the actual scientific facts, the science. Like, do you stand with science or do you stand with anti-science? Are you a science denier? You don't want to be a science denier. They just simply took the rate at which the human eye, or even cameras, form a horizon line. Designers and artists call it a vanishing line. They simply took that and they superimposed it onto a giant ball model. Just a model. It's not real. It's just a ball model. You know. And it's just so convenient, and that's exactly what you would do if you were lying about where you lived. You would do weird things like that, where the distance to the horizon, according to Google, for a 6-foot-tall observer standing at water's edge on the shoreline is 3 miles away, and I've had top-tier globe cultists admit to me that there would be a horizon line formed at about 3 miles away, simply due to the compression effects of vision. So very simple stuff here, friends. Very simple stuff. So of course he would say that that's the visibility is to the horizon. It's very interesting how he would say that. Now things get a little bit more interesting here. He goes on and he keeps talking.
The ground itself, I don't know.
For the Earth, actually, it's up to the horizon. If you take a point in space, you have XYZ coordinates. And your plane is at an XYZ coordinate. And in that case, that XYZ coordinate is with 6 million meters. Well, the radius of the Earth. So, and the whole world is in this virtual space, which means that from there, we might as well teleport to some other place and still be in the same coordinate space. So everything is represented. Maybe it's a bit too technical, but
it was great. But
he was about to say
use that.
Okay. He was about to say something really important. Damn it! But Gleam might have answered it for us. I'm going to go back and read Gleam's message in a second, but.
Yeah,
so
and which means
the last interesting thing is that he mentions the radius of the Earth.
Well, the radius of the Earth, 6 million meters.
6 million meters. 6 million meters is 6,356. Well, roughly, obviously. He was talking roughly. Is 6,356 kilometers, which is the radius of the Earth, allegedly. So it's all really interesting, right? It's all very interesting, and let's go ahead and read Gleam's message, his comment, because I think it was critical. Okay, here we go. Gleam in the chat. Everybody go subscribe to Gleam. Everyone right now go subscribe to Gleam. He's destroyed many a glober in live debates, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the globs. Gleam says, let me bring the chat in here so everybody can see it. Gleam writes, X-Plane, which is another flight simulator game, used to be a flat Earth, and they show you it in their release notes. Then they done flat tiles with curved program into the gaps and then turned it into WGS 84. Let's keep reading some of Gleam's comments here. They have a function in their code called, quote, local to world and, quote, world to local coordinate transform, and this is Cartesian to spherical. Yep. It's all about the projection. It's all they hide it in the projection. They hide it in the projection. Gleam goes on to say it's called vertical 3D clipping, where a game used horizontal plane clipping to reduce memory overhead and make it so you cannot see buildings at a certain distance. Yep. You would have seen it in early GTA games where the trees, mountains, and scenery all of a sudden appeared out of nowhere. Yeah. But this is a vertical one, so they can see long distance. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, so that actually sort of confirms something. There's a channel on YouTube called Globe Skeptic. I don't know. They've been around since 2015. I don't know if they still make videos. Looks like they haven't released a video in 2 years. But I found a video from them called Microsoft Flight Simulator Proves the Flat Earth. And he actually found some website from Microsoft.com where they actually talk about the making of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And there's a couple interesting things they say here. So here's one of the things. This is right off Microsoft website in regards to the Microsoft Flight Simulator game. The RQT algorithm as published is really intended for, quote, flat Earth terrain, where the sea level elevation reference is assumed to be an infinite plane. Mind you, this is from the official Microsoft.com website. They're talking about how their flight simulator games are made. Since flight simulator models the Earth's curvature, we had to modify the algorithm a bit. The main problem is that the unmodified RQT tends to eliminate nearly all the mesh vertices over large open expanses of ocean, which it interprets as being completely flat. The solution is to increase the error metric for each point in the mesh by the height of the Earth's curvature above the line connecting the point's opposite neighbors. The result is an increase in the error metric roughly proportional to the distance to its neighbors. The larger the error metric, the less likely a point will be eliminated from the triangulation. This helps preserve the Earth's curvature in large areas with the same elevation. And a little bit further down they go, after triangulation, the mesh vertices must be transformed to account for the Earth's curvature. Flight Simulator uses the ellipsoidal Earth model defined by the World Geodetic System 1984 or WGS-84. WGS-84 uses a geocentric rectangular coordinate system with the Earth's center of mass at the origin, blah, 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 blah. So they claim that they take all types of things into account to make a potentially flat video game look spherical. Still, I think there's a lot of issues with the WGS itself. I'm not going to get into that right now. So again, all very interesting stuff. And you know, that's the thing. That's the thing about a lot of these. Let me get the chat back up. Hey, what's up, Nathan Oakley, 1980. That's the thing about a lot of these sort of the globe model itself. The issue with the globe model is that it's so big. Earth is so big, whether you think it's flat or whether you think it's round. The Earth is so big that usually, in order to get to a scale where you actually even start to notice curvature, you have to increase your scale so big that it usually goes beyond the comprehension of the average person. And that's perfectly convenient if you want to hide the reality of our world. Namely that it's not a sphere. So, just for example, Neil deGrasse Tyson saying you got to be 128,000 feet to see Earth curvature. I'll play it again.
But the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think with this curvature of Earth. If you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball.
Yeah, he's talking about the Felix Baumgartner jump from 128,000 feet. Even globe earthers will admit that locally, when you're just walking on the Earth, that shit looks flat, feels stationary. They'll admit it. So, the moment you start getting to such a massive scale, it's almost like the bigger the scale of what you're talking about, the more ambiguity starts to come up, and the more you can hide bullshit in the gaps, in the seams. But yeah, wow, we've been going deep. We've been going deep on this one, guys. Crazy. Quick thing, guys, if you guys enjoy the videos that I create, you enjoy the content, check me out on Patreon. You can support some more of my work there. If you're interested, the link is right down there in the description. Patreon.com, check me out there. Also, actually, I didn't put the link in there. I'm gonna put it now. Patreon. Also, yeah, because you know, the thing is, guys, if you really want to make money on YouTube, push the globe. Come out as a glob. Become a glob. If you want to make money, become a glob. Okay? That's where the money is right now, because YouTube said that they're going to suppress flat Earth and push authoritative content saying the Earth is a globe. So, you know, just, you know, if you want to make money on YouTube, be a glob. You know, that's how you make the big bucks on YouTube. Become a glob. I know you have to you have to debase yourself down to like one of these creepy ass glob things. But that's how you make money on YouTube. Become a glob. And it's sad that a lot of the globs, these globe defender YouTube channels, man, they are raking in cash. They must only be doing it for the money, you know? It's sick. Guys, by the way, 2020 is coming around the corner. I'm getting 2016 vibes. Anybody else getting 2016 vibes? I'm getting 2016 vibes. Man, those were epic days. That was before the YouTube apocalypse in 2017, the demonetization, the brazen shadow banning. I still believe my channel was one of the freaking standards YouTube used to create their shadow banning algorithm. And what's really crazy is that it's actually starting to backfire on some of the globers. There's a glob defender channel called Team Skeptic. And I was watching one of his streams the other day, and he actually is getting hammered by these new COPPA. The new COPPA, you know, where YouTube comes in and they cop your money. Everyone's getting destroyed by this. YouTube is on a scorched earth rampage right now to take down the whole platform. Nobody is safe. And even Glober channels, globe defending channels. This Team Skeptic guy, he was talking about how his views have plummeted since around the time of this whole COPPA thing. And he thinks it's actually because his avatar is like a Lego guy, and that's considered kid-friendly, and that's what the whole COPPA thing is. If you target children in your videos, if you have kid-friendly content, then YouTube is going to have a bunch of little algorithmic things they're going to do to hold you back. To hold you back. And I remember all the Globe trolls were laughing at me. Laughing and pointing and laughing when I got demonetized like 5-6 months ago. They thought it was so funny. Okay, well, that's incredibly weak. It's a very weak thing to do. And you can call it karma. You can call it the inevitable outcome of when you want everyone you disagree with to be silenced and shut down. Where do you think that's going to lead, bro? And now YouTube is basically obliterating its platform with this whole COPPA stuff. It's funny because YouTube, they got all worked up over that whole Article 13 thing, where all the memes are going to be shut down because the EU wants to copyright every single meme. And YouTube, they started to promote themselves like, oh, look, we're fighting against Article 13. That's what YouTube always does. It's the same thing with net neutrality. These are fake justice causes that the establishment uses to make it seem like they're fighting for what's right. Susan Wojcicki, oh, net neutrality's bad. Susan Wojcicki, oh, look, we're fighting against Article 13. Where has she even said a word about COPPA? Has she even said a word about COPPA? YouTube bent over for one of the most scorched earth policies that is going to hurt a ton of YouTubers. What's Donald Trump going to do? Is Donald Trump going to crack down and make YouTube stop being racist? I don't know. But I'm getting 2020 vibe, guys. Trump, finally someone with balls. T-shirt link is right down there in the description. We're going to see what happens, guys. I might be called out into the streets again to confront some SJW liberal crackpots. I've got many videos on my channel confronting psycho liberal, fake liberal, just scum of the earth. From Black Lives Matter, racist bigots, to anti-Trump maniacs. I've got it all on my channel. It's ridiculous. So again, guys, Trump 2020, finally someone with balls. The links to the shirts are right down there in the description. Man, if I want to make money, I got to become a glob. I got to become a glob. But hey, it looks like, you know what? Some globs are starting to get hurt too by YouTube shadow banning. So it turns out this Team Skeptic guy, now he has to change his avatar, and apparently he has to take down a bunch of his old videos that had the little Lego character cartoon in it. Everybody's getting fucked. And maybe it's karma, I don't know. So yeah, I think I got all the essential details in. Microsoft Flight Simulator. You know how it is. I want to go out with like a table. I used to think the Earth is not a globe changed my mind. Would be a cool like public social experiment. But today I thought of another one. Go out with a table and a sign that says, "Are you smarter than a flat earther?" And just challenge the general public on if they know what they should know about the model, the globe they claim to believe in, that they live on. So confident. Are you smarter than a flat earther? I like that. Okay. Well, guys, I think that's it for today's stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you guys find any interesting information about how this game is programmed, flat, sphere, something else. I mean, for example, apparently some video games are made on donuts. Classic JRPG worlds are actually donuts. And apparently some video games are programmed on a toroidal shape. As you can see here. Later, Nathan Oakley. There's no way to wrap a map like this onto a sphere and still retain the type of motion shown in the game. Actually, it can be any shape homeomorphic to a torus. I won't get in depth on what that means, as I'm not a topologist or anything, but to give an idea, a coffee mug with a handle can also have this map projected onto it. And here it shows, well, that's low quality. But yeah, it shows like a little red dot going across the map, the flat map, and then what it looks like going across the toroidal shape. Yeah, it's a donut. Maybe we live on a donut. So, okay guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys real soon. Are you smarter than a flat earther? The average public actually isn't. The average public who has not looked in to the globe debate, flat versus globe debate, they have no idea why they think they live on a sphere. So yes, most of the public is not smarter than a flat earther. Okay guys, thank you guys for watching Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'll see you guys later. Links below. Check out the links below. And yes,